Good afternoon, and welcome to this edition of AARP Massachusetts Fraud Talk Tuesdays. We are here the second Tuesday of each month from 12 to 12:30. In each session, we discuss a specific scam and how you can protect yourself and your family from becoming victims. My name is Deb Bloomberg, and I am a volunteer with the AARP Massachusetts Speakers Bureau. We are excited to have as our guest today Danielle Schrage from the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. She has been a postal inspector for 18 years. During this time, Inspector Schrage has worked a variety of assignments in both the Los Angeles and Boston divisions. Currently, she is assigned to the mail fraud team in Boston, which covers the entire state of Massachusetts. Inspector Schrage is also one of the Boston Division's public information officers, which enables her to use her experience working mail fraud cases to speak to members of the public about ways they can combat consumer fraud. If you already have a question for the inspector, please put your questions in the Q&A at the bottom of the screen. Or if questions come up during the presentation, put them in the Q&A. This session is being recorded. You will receive a link to this recording that you can share with your family and friends. At the end of the presentation, we will share a page with links to a number of resources which will also be sent to you. So, Inspector Schrage, could you briefly describe the role you play in protecting post office customers?
Sure. Thank you guys so much for having me today. The U.S. Postal Inspection Service is the law enforcement arm of the U.S. Postal Service. So our mission is to support and protect the Postal Service, its employees, infrastructure, and its customers. We enforce the laws that defend our nation's mail stream from illegal or dangerous use, and we ensure the public trusts in the mail. Postal inspectors like myself are sworn law enforcement officers. We make arrests, we serve subpoenas, and carry firearms. And like you said, we investigate everything from mail fraud, narcotics, mail theft, and so much more.
Oh, great. Well, here's something. The safest place to deposit outgoing mail is inside the post office, but some people find it difficult to get there. They often need to deposit mail in one of the big blue collection boxes around town. Now, there are stories about thieves stealing mail from these collection boxes. What is the safest way to use the big blue boxes?
So again, you were right. The most secure way to deposit your mail would be go into a post office and deposit it into one of the letter slots inside. But unfortunately, I know everybody can't do that. So if you must use the blue boxes outside to deposit your outgoing mail, make sure that you always check the latest pickup on that box. Be cognizant of the time and try not to let your mail sit in that blue box either overnight or on a long weekend. Again, by looking at that last pickup, you can ensure that your mail sits in there for a very short amount of time before it gets picked up by a letter carrier. So that would be the most secure way.
Can I ask you a little bit when they changed the slots? What's the deal with that? Has that helped a lot in terms of mail being stolen?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are now familiar when you go to mail at a blue box, there's a narrow slit for letter mail to go inside, whereas before you might have had the pull down drawer apparatus. And that has helped us prevent what we call mail phishing, where criminals would use sticky fly tape or other glue contraptions to stick things into the blue boxes and fish out your mail. So by upgrading those blue boxes, we're making sure that your mail is better secured from any sort of phishing attempt that might come its way.
Okay, that's great. Now I know some people put their outgoing mail in the mailbox that's attached to their house or put it in the mailbox at the end of their driveway for the letter carrier to pick up. Is this safe?
The best and most secure way, like I said, is to actually take your mail and deposit it and mail it inside a post office. The reason why we say that is because then you know that it has entered the mail stream. By leaving it at maybe a mailbox at the end of a driveway, again, it's sitting with nobody looking at it, and somebody could come by and take it out of there. So if you can't, get again to a post office to mail your things, hand it to your letter carrier if you see them. They can go ahead and take your outgoing mail, but we really encourage people to not leave their mail sitting in either a blue box or their mailbox. And conversely, even when you come home every day, take your incoming mail out of the mailbox for that same reason. We just don't want people's mails to be sitting in any place, regardless of where that apparatus is, unsecured.
Okay, now that's a good point because what I had thought, it occurred to me, don't leave it out there for wait for them to pick up. But you're talking about the other end of the line, don't leave it out there. So that if you are going away, you should probably let the post office know to stop your delivery for you to pick up later, right? You think?
You can put a vacation hold on, and the post office will hold all that mail until you come back from vacation and pick it up.
Okay, great. Um, Well, it's clear the U.S. Postal Service can't guarantee that every piece of mail we receive was sent to us by people acting in good faith. So, do we need to watch out for scam letters and scam postcards and scam advertisements every time we look through the mail that's delivered to us?
Yeah, unfortunately, scammers will try to lure victims through the mail. If you receive something in the mail that looks like it could be legitimate, but it's telling you that you owe money or that you need to pay a fee, I want people to be really aware of that potentially being a scam. Additionally, anytime you receive correspondence in the mail telling you you've won a lottery, beware. Many times these are ruses to get you to engage with a scammer, and all roads lead to them wanting your money. So again, be a savvy consumer. If you receive something that looks like it's from your homeowner's insurance or something, go ahead and call them from a number that you've already established and ask them if it's a legitimate mailer. I hate to tell people, but more and more is falling on the consumers to decide whether or not something is legitimate. So we just want people to do their homework before engaging and believing something that just comes to their doorstep.
Have you found that there's more of this mail that looks like it's official, like it looks like it's a treasury check or it looks like it's from Social Security or something like that? I mean, is there a lot of that going on right now?
I don't know if I would say there's a lot of that going on, but it definitely does happen. Again, if you receive something in the mail that you weren't expecting, like a check or something, be concerned and wary about that. Try to do your due diligence and figuring out where it came from. And again, it's very hard to win a lottery that you don't remember entering, and usually lottery winnings don't notify you by mail. So again, those are all kind of red flags people should be looking out for.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Now, I have heard that check washing is a risk when mail that contains checks is stolen. What is check washing and how do we protect ourselves against it?
Yeah, so unfortunately, check washing is a crime that we saw kind of uptick once COVID hit and people were staying home. So what criminals will do is they will steal mail, specifically people's outgoing checks. So let's say you wrote a $20 check to your cable company. They'll get a hold of that check and they will wash the check in a chemical solution. And what that chemical solution does is it's able to remove all of the ink pen that you use to fill in the payee and the amounts. They then will either input their own information and deposit it into their own account or an account that they have control over, or we've seen it where they will actually sell it to other
Mm.
scammers. So what we, again, tell people is if you're going to mail a check, be very cognizant about leaving that check somewhere unsecure. Again, back to my original point of mailing inside a post office is the most secure way. There are things people can do, though, to protect themselves from check washing. Make sure that you use an indelible ink when you write
Mm.
your check. Make sure that, if you check your statements, your bank statements, and when that check's going to be cashed and you see a copy of that check, make sure that check went to its intended recipient. Also, if your check did not go to the intended recipient, make sure you contact your bank right away and let them know. Just doing simple things like that will ensure that your check will get to its intended recipient.
Wow. Okay, I will have to keep that. Definitely. That's good advice, and I'm gonna go have to get out some indelible ink pens. Um, Lots of us receive text messages on our phones claiming that they're from the U.S. Post Office, from the Postal Service. And the text says the U.S. Postal Service can't deliver a package and asks people to click on a web link or call a phone number to provide additional personal information so that they can make the delivery. This is a scam, right? Should we just delete it? Do we have to do anything else about it or just delete it?
Yeah, so what you're unfortunately describing is a scam called smishing. It's a form of phishing with the PH that I think most people are somewhat familiar with in the emails, but this one involves a text message or a phone number. So again, like you said, victims will receive a text message claiming that it could be from a bank or an e-commerce site, or in this case, the Postal Service. It will include a link, a hyperlink, and it'll ask you to click on that link. Once you do, it will take you to some other place. It'll redirect you where you're told to give in private information, and that could give criminals access to your sensitive personal information. So don't fall for it. If you receive a text message that reads something like you said, your package has arrived at the warehouse, but it can't be delivered due to incomplete address information or something along those lines, don't click on it. Go ahead and delete it. Be suspicious of anybody requesting personal information. You know, we tell people all the time, don't click on any links or respond to any messages from an unknown number. Don't send any of your personal information over a text message. Legitimate companies won't ask for your personal information. They won't ask for your account numbers, tracking numbers, usernames, or passwords by emails or texts. You can always report that smishing to the bank or the government agency or company the scam artist is impersonating, and that can alert other people and law enforcement to investigate. For the Postal Service, we tell people that they can report any incidents of smishing about the Postal Service to spam at USPIS.gov. So that's a email that they can email those instances to. We just ask people take a screenshot. Again, do not click on the link, send it to us, and we can keep that information and record it. But once you've done that,
Can you give can you give me that address one more time?
Sure, it would be spam, so SPAM at USPIS.gov.
Gotcha. For Postal Inspection Service. Right. Got it. Got it. Got it. Oh, that's good advice. Thank you. Um, Along the same lines, there are lots of ads online offering discount postage stamps. How can an online shopper tell an authorized postage stamp dealer from a scammer?
The truth is you really can't. So unfortunately, what we see is a ton of counterfeit postage is being advertised on social media and e-commerce sites. And people think it's a good deal because it looks like a good deal. The discounts can be offered anywhere from 20 to 50% off of face value, which is a telltale sign that they're bogus. You know, purchasing stamps from a third-party wholesaler or from an online website can be pretty unpredictable. You have no way of verifying whether or not those postage stamps are legitimate. We recommend that purchasing stamps from approved postal providers. Approved vendors can include, you know, the local grocery store or big boxes or warehouse retailers, or directly from the Postal Service. Those are the only ways that you can guarantee that the stamps that you're purchasing are in fact legitimate. It's very, very difficult for people to see by the naked eye that they are in fact counterfeit.
And you can get stamps by mail from the post office, right?
Yes, you can go to
Okay.
USPS.com and order them there too.
Okay, so that's an option if people can't get out to get the stamps, that sort of thing. Okay, that makes sense. Well, what would you say are your top three pieces of advice for postal customers in terms of their own protection?
I'm gonna sound like a parrot. You know, please mail outgoing mail from inside a postal facility when feasible. 2, collect your mail from your mailbox every single day. Don't let it sit in there. And number 3, do not engage with text messages or that claim to be the Postal Service. Report them as smishing and delete them. Those would be my top 3.
Okay, wow, that's very good advice. I would like to check. We have one of our other volunteers, Dennis. He's checking for questions that are coming in from viewers. Dennis, can you tell us, are there any questions for Inspector Schrage?
Here's one. Says, would the United States Postal Service opt-out feature be able to assist in scam mail coming to homeowners in the mail?
Again, it might prevent some of it, but it will not prevent all of it. So we ask people, unfortunately, consumers have to be very savvy. The Postal Service does a pretty good job about, making sure that only the mail that should be going to people's houses are getting there, but we need your help too, and we can't do it all. So that's why, again, we ask people to be savvy consumers and be wary of any mail they may receive.
Any other questions, Dennis?
Here's another one. Could you explain informed delivery and the benefits of that?
Sure. So informed delivery is a product through the Postal Service where you can sign up online. You'll go through a verification process, and once you're approved, what happens is every day in your email, you will get pictures of incoming mail to your home. It's not a perfect system, but people find it very helpful, especially when they're expecting important paperwork or things that, they want to make sure they kind of get a heads up that's coming their way. So again, if that is something that people are interested in, they can go to USPS.com and sign up there.
And that's a free service?
Yes, it is.
So you need to be online for that though, right?
Yes, unfortunately you do, and you will need an email. And again, there's a verification process, so I don't want people to be scared. As part of that, you will be asked certain information to enter it there.
Okay, that makes sense.
Here's
Anything
another
else?
question. Is that you had mentioned something about purchasing stamps and making sure they're coming from a legitimate site. If there are fake stamps, how does the post office track that or even identify that they're fake?
So we have our ways. I'm not going to tell everybody our secret ways here, but we do have very sophisticated machinery and ways that we can tell that a real stamp from a fake one. So when the mail gets processed, it will let us know. And if large amounts come in, it'll trigger a look from the inspection service, which will trigger us to investigate. So again, we have pretty sophisticated ways of determining whether or not stamps are counterfeit, but unfortunately consumers don't. So again, please do not buy your stamps from any place online that you cannot verify that they are in fact legitimate.
Sounds like that would be tough to do anyway, to verify that they're legitimate, right?
Yeah, it's really tough. They're getting really, really good, which is scary.
Uh,
Sharon has a question. She asks, are gel pens good for check writing?
I mean, I think that anytime you try to use an inky pen would be the best. But I caveat that with saying that criminals are very enterprising, and I feel like I would be remiss to endorse any one type of pen because the chemicals that they wash these things in are very good. And even if they can't remove the ink all the way, they may be able to remove it enough to put in their own information. So again, an inky pen, like an indelible ink pen, is probably your best bet, although not a silver bullet.
Okay. Along the same lines, I noticed that my bank is now sending me a different kind of check, and it has like a hologram on it. It says heat reactive ink, and it has some very small letters at the bottom. So is this something that, maybe consumers could ask their banks about maybe improvements in the check that make it harder for it to be washed?
I mean, again, that sounds like a good fraud prevention that I'm not familiar with that since I don't work for the bank, but yeah, that does sound like something that would be good. I do know that the Postal Inspection Service and the American Banking Association has partnered together, to combat check theft. So again, I think that anything that either the banks or we can do to help prevent it would be good. But again, back to my original point, don't discount your role in any of this by making sure that you're trying to do everything you can to make sure your mail gets into the mail stream securely.
And one big part of that you said first off is mailing it inside the post office is without question one of your best protections.
Yeah, that way you ensure that it's actually, in the mail stream. Because once you put it in the mail stream, you put it in there. You're not counting on somebody else putting it in there for you. So it's just one safeguard that you can do.
Got it. Got it. Did you have any other points you wanted to make before I take us to your resource slide?
No, I think I covered everything for today. I mean, I'm happy to answer any more questions anybody may have.
Did you have another one, Dennis? Anything else come in? Okay. We're going to get the resource slide up, and then I thought you could explain your resource slide a little bit. It'll be coming up momentarily. In the, we'll get it. Just one second. In the meantime, while we wait, oh, here it is. Okay. All right. Your resource side is coming up. So, Inspector Schrage, if you can tell us a little bit about why you included what you did and what we should know about these resources.
Right, so the first one is our website, www.uspis.gov. There is a plethora of things that consumers can find there. Not only about what we are, what we do, the cases that we work, but there are also links to make complaints. So I'm going to jump from that first bullet point to the very bottom. Inside there is a way to report all of the frauds that I've spoken about today, from mail theft to mail fraud. That is the best way that we intake consumer complaints. I know that sometimes it can seem impersonal for people to have to, fill out a complaint online, but it is the most effective way. And those complaints do get filtered out to the various divisions that cover that area. So I want to really implore people that if they think they've been a victim of one of these crimes, to please make a report there. Jumping back up, you can also find us on YouTube. We have a variety of short vignettes on various scams. So if people are interested in some light video watching, they can go there and find out about all sorts of tips of scams that we see and what they can do to keep themselves safe. Furthermore, a lot of these scams can also be reported to the Federal Trade Commission at ftc.gov. And you, AARP, are a great partner. You guys have a ton of resources as well. And we also tell people, don't discount your local government too. If, especially if older people are trying to figure out if something is legitimate or not, we really encourage them to go down and into their community, whether that's the local police station or their elder services, and seek assistance there, because usually people there will also help you navigate and lead you to making a report. So we want people, if you just don't know, maybe those resources in your community can help you kind of figure those things out. We just don't want people to make decisions that they're not sure about making. Go and ask somebody. And also, just as a finishing cap, if it looks too good to be true, it usually is. So just keep that in mind when you're reading through things, or you're hearing things, or you're seeing things come through your text messages.
Question on your resources. If you do report a fraud, are you likely to hear back from the postal inspection service, or it's just like reporting it and it becomes part of the statistics?
So
Will
you
you
may
hear
not
back?
hear back in the sense of you might not get a call from me, but we do, rest assured, we do have your complaint. And if we work that complaint up into a case that moves forward where we identify you as a victim in our case, you will be contacted. So again, I know it can be frustrating for people to try to make a report and not get to talk to a human being, but unfortunately, we just don't have enough personnel to take in every complaint, nor would I want to put in your complaint. You can tell the system your complaint better than I ever could. So that's kind of the reason why it's built that way.
Makes a lot of sense. Dennis, do you want to share some resources from AARP as well? Oops. Okay. We'll be there in 1 second. It was there a minute ago.
I couldn't get myself off mute. Hang on, let's try this again. Oops. I don't know where it went.
There it is.
There it is. Okay, so we're going to talk about if you, I know Inspector Schrage talked about contacting the U.S. Postal Inspector Service, Inspection Service, if you have a problem with mail. If you have any type of problem with any type of fraud, you can always call the Fraud Watch helpline, the 877-908-3360. It's open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. And if you just have a question, call them. They can give you an answer. If you have been a victim, they're going to take a few pieces of information and they'll call you back within 24 hours. And they're going to lead you through what you can do to keep yourself safe moving forward. They're also going to help you with how do you deal with the emotional trauma? Because sometimes it's not just the money; it's the emotional trauma that we go through when we've been victimized. So there's a free online peer support group sessions to help with that emotional recovery. And sometimes telling your story is the first step in healing. Here's a link to the AARP fraud support. You click on the link, and you go on to register. And they have sessions a number of times a day throughout the week. Some people show up for one, and that meets their needs. Some people will show up once, twice, three times, and not even talk until they feel comfortable. They're never going to be pressured into doing anything, but it's going to help with the emotional support that you might need. By the way, this Fraud Talk Tuesday is being recorded, as all of our Fraud Talk Tuesdays. We have them out on the AARP Massachusetts YouTube channel, and here's a link. So if you want to review this one or any one from the past, you can click on that link. And if you have been a victim and would like to share your story on one of our Fraud Talk Tuesdays, we would love to have you join us. All you need to do is contact Holly Hunt at mhunt@aarp.org, and she can make the connection. So if you'd like to tell your story, because your story is probably the more powerful part of any of our presentations. So that's all I have. I'll toss it back to you, Deb.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Inspector Schrage. This was extremely valuable information, and staying informed is key to protecting yourself. In addition to the resources the inspector shared, AARP offers a wealth of resources, including articles and webinars on the Fraud Watch Network, which provides up-to-date information on the latest scams and how to avoid them. Regularly educating yourself on new threats and prevention strategies can make a big difference. And please join us on Tuesday, June 10th for Who's Really You? Navigating Identity Theft Challenges. Every 2 seconds, someone's identity is stolen. Learn what you can do to protect yourself, what to do if your identity has been stolen, and what the impact is on those who have been victimized. Remember, you can be a fraud fighter. If you can spot a scam, you can stop a scam. So stay safe, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, Deb, one quick question here, or comment. It is June 10th that we're doing it, but that's the wrong topic. I put the wrong one into the narrative. It is job search scams, because younger people are going to be looking for jobs during the summer. People are looking for part-time work through the summer. So it's on job search scams, and it affects
Okay.
everybody, young and old. So actually, it's in July that we're doing the navigating identity theft. So
Okay, so it's job search scams. And I
job
think that
search
is,
scams.
that's a very, very, very useful, and you say for all age groups as well. So we're looking forward to that one. And thank you for the clarification, Dennis. And thank
My
you
mistake.
again, Inspector Schrage. This was terrific. I enjoyed it so much, and you helped us so much. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for having me.